If you've ever spent a weekend ripping your old CD collection or carefully building a digital music library, then you have definitely stumbled into this debate. We're talking about lossless audio formats, and the big question is there any real difference between them? Do they all actually sound the same? Well, let's dive in and find out.
So this is the question that really kicks the whole thing off, and it's pulled from a real discussion online. You've got these three big names in high-quality audio, Flac, WAV, and ALAC, and they all seem to promise the exact same thing, perfect CD-quality sound. But are they really just different flavors of the same thing? That's what we're going to break down.
Okay, so before we can even start comparing these formats, we all need to be on the same page about one single, crucial concept. It's the secret sauce that really ties all of these files together.
And that concept is lossless compression. Now, don't let that word compression throw you off. This isn't like an MP3, which literally deletes parts of the music to get smaller. No, lossless is way smarter. It just packs the data more efficiently. So when you hit play, it unpacks back into a perfect bit-for-bit clone of the original. Absolutely nothing is lost.
Here is a brilliant way to think about it. Imagine a WAV file is just a big normal text document. A Flac or an ALAC file is that exact same document, but it's been put into a zip folder. When you open that zip, is anything missing? Nope. Every single word, every letter is exactly where it was before. The content is 100% identical, it's just stored in a much smarter way.
Or, if you want a tastier analogy, think of WAV as one of those giant bags of potato chips that's, mostly air. Flac and ALAC, they're the Pringles can. You get the exact same amount of chips, just without all that wasted space.
All right, so we've established that they all promise to deliver the exact same data in the end. So now let's meet the main contenders in this space and see how they actually stack up against each other in the real world.
They really fall into two main camps. On one side, you have the uncompressed family. This is just the raw, untouched audio data. And on the other side, you've got the compressed family, which uses those clever packing tricks we just talked about to save a ton of space.
And you can see the practical differences really start to pop when you lay it all out like this. So look at WAV. It's uncompressed, which means the files are just huge. And this is the big one. It has really poor support for metadata, stuff like album art and track info. But then look at Flac and ALAC. They're compressed, making them about half the size, and they have excellent metadata support. For actually managing a music library, that's a game changer.
So let's put some names to the faces here. WAV is basically the OG, the raw data, exactly like what you'd find on a physical CD. Then you have Flac, which is the modern, open-source, go-to standard for pretty much everyone. And ALAC? Well, that's simply Apple's version of the same idea, built to work perfectly inside their world.
Okay, and now for the main event. This is the heart of the debate. Uncompressed versus compressed. Does one actually truly sound better than the other? Let's get into it.
This is a totally logical question, right? Uncompressed just feels like it should be purer, more direct. It's a fair question, and honestly, it's one that even the most experienced audiophiles wrestle with.
And you will find people who swear by it. This person says that on their really high-end system, they genuinely feel like they hear a difference with uncompressed files. It's a really common feeling, and it makes intuitive sense. But is it real?
Well, here's the counterpoint, and it comes from an electrical engineer. And it's pretty definitive. They are the same. Any difference you think you hear is, quote, 100% in your head. Because here's the thing, when a Flac file is decoded to be played, the stream of ones and zeros sent to your sound system is mathematically, literally, identical to the WAV file.
So, if the data is identical, then why do so many people, including audiophiles with incredible ears, swear they can hear a difference? Well, the answer isn't in the files or the equipment. The answer is in our heads.
It's a wild field of study called psychoacoustics. Our brains are powerful, and our expectations can literally shape our perception of reality. If you believe a bigger, purer file should sound better, your brain can actually trick you into hearing a subtle improvement, even if one doesn't exist in the audio signal itself. It happens to all of us.
So let's just put a final pin in this part of the debate. When you press play on a FLAC or an ALAC file, your phone or computer unzips it instantly. The digital information, the actual ones and zeros, the bits that get sent to your digital to analog converter to become sound are identical to the data that comes from a WAV file. Period.
Okay, so the theory is settled. They sound the same. So let's move on to the practical stuff. Which one of these formats should you actually be using for your music library?
Well, the practical difference really just comes down to one thing: file size. And it's not a small difference. For the exact same 5-minute song, a WAV file is massive, over 50 megabytes. The FLAC file, with zero loss in quality, is almost half that size. The MP3 is even smaller, of course, but just remember, that's where you're actually throwing sound quality away.
And this is pretty much why FLAC has become the clear winner for most people. I mean, you get huge storage savings with zero quality loss. You get fantastic support for tagging your music with album art and lyrics so it actually looks good. It's open and free, so it works on almost every device out there that isn't made by Apple. And it's the absolute perfect format for archiving your CDs, giving you a bit-perfect backup that'll last forever.
So here's the final recommendation, and it's super simple. Are you on a Windows computer, an Android phone, or using a dedicated music player? Use FLAC. It's the universal standard. Are you living 100% inside Apple's world, managing your entire library in Apple Music or iTunes? Then go ahead and use ALAC. It really is that easy.
But before we wrap this all up, I want to leave you with one final thought. And honestly, it's probably the most important one. We spent all this time debating the container, but what about the actual music that's inside it?
This quote really hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, the file format is just a box. It can't magically fix what's inside. A poorly recorded and mastered song is going to sound poor whether it's in a WAV file or a FLAC file. The source material, the original recording, the mastering, that is what truly matters.
So that's the real takeaway here. Stop worrying about WAV versus FLAC. The quest for better sound isn't found in the file extension. It's in finding well-mastered recordings from artists you love. It's in your playback gear, your DAC, your amplifier, and your headphones or speakers. That's where the magic really happens.